Okay, let's get started actually. I think we're really on time, which is something I really appreciate. But welcome everyone. It's our first roundtable of 2024, and as always, it's hosted by Morningstar Ventures. We're really glad to have everyone back. And it's the 1st of February, which always means, the first of a month is always a great new start, a new way for opportunity. I think the last 30 days, we've definitely been kept on our toes by the crypto space, and we've seen without a doubt a lot of news come in. For example, I probably don't have to say this to this audience, but obviously the SEC has finally approved the Bitcoin ETF, which gave 11 financial institutions the green light to launch their exchange-traded funds. And also, since we've seen this news, we've seen some bullish reactions from the crypto market, which was then followed by somewhat of an expected corrections in the market, which, in these days and the last couple of weeks has resulted in Bitcoin still finding its way to break through that very much anticipated 48K resistance level. So hopefully we'll get there, but we're going to talk a little bit about that actually. And with all of these things combined, we thought what better time than now to actually kick off the year with a roundtable that digs a little bit deeper into what we're seeing in the market at the moment and what we can actually expect in 2024 and what possible trends and opportunities can come with what the market is going to be like. Now, to speak to us about this, we have invited 3 experts in the field. We have Emile, the co-founder and CEO of XDEFI Wallet, Gabby Dizon, the CEO of Yield Guild Games, and also influencer and angel investor who's known as Altcoin Sherpa. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We're really excited.
Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. Now, before we get started, if you're new, welcome, welcome. I really hope that you enjoy your first session. And for those coming back, glad to have you. If you haven't joined us before, I'm your host, Naini, and co-hosting with me is my lovely colleague, Peter. And at the end of the session, if you have any questions, we always leave a good amount of time for some Q&A. You can either put your questions in the comment section below, or if you would like to ask a question directly, you can request to speak with the speaker function, and we will give you the space to do that. Okay, that's all from me for now. It would be great to get a quick introduction of you guys and let us know a little bit more about who you are and also what exactly you're doing within the crypto space. So, Gabby, why don't you go first?
Sure. Again, thanks for having me. My name is Gabby Dizon, co-founder of Yield Guild Games, or YGG. So we've been around since late 2020, and we bring crypto native communities to discover different Web3 games that they can play and enjoy and earn and own assets. So we've been doing this for over 3 years now. Started by building communities on top of Axie Infinity, and now we have a wide range of different game partners, and we have guild partners from around the world. And yeah, this is shaping up to be a very exciting year for Web3 gaming, and I can't wait to talk more about it.
Same, we'll definitely dive into a bit of what Web3 gaming has in store for it later on. But Sherpa, why don't you give us an introduction?
Cool, thanks a lot. Thanks guys for having me, I appreciate it. I'm Altcoin Sherpa. I've been in crypto since 2016. After losing all my money in 2018, I wanted to learn how to trade and understand the markets a little bit better. I've been posting on Twitter for the last several years and am a retail trader. I've invested in projects like StepIn, Axelar, and Woo, and several others, and just really like trading and being in the public markets. Thanks for having me.
Great. Thanks to have you on board. And yeah, some great projects you've invested in. Emile, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you're up to.
Hey, sure thing. So yeah, I'm Emile, the co-founder and CEO of XDEFI Wallet. We were originally the first chain wallet extension. Today we have a product that is live for more than 2 years and a half. And we're supporting, as of actually like a few weeks ago, out of any wallets, the most chains out there with 250 plus chains supported. We are preparing ahead of this new cycle. A lot of work has been done during the bear market on our ends to essentially rebrand and revamp the extension, but also work on a mobile app that is going to be out later this year. So happy to share more about these few points with you during the call.
Great. Congratulations on this amazing achievement. And indeed, just like we'll talk about gaming later, we're also interested to hear a little bit more from the DeFi and infrastructure perspective. But before we go into that, let's kind of go back into what I was talking about in the introduction, where we had mentioned that, the SEC had finally approved the Bitcoin ETF. Curious to hear, and maybe Emile or Gabby, you can kick us off with this. What were your first reactions about this, and what do you think it means for the crypto space, and what do you think also, how do you think this will actually lead to wider crypto adoption? Gabby,
Sure.
do you want to maybe kick it
Sure.
off?
Sure. Yeah, I'll take this. So I do think that the Bitcoin ETF has been a long time coming. I think almost 10 years, and there's probably a lot of front running in anticipation of the near term price effects. And I think that just trying to play the short term game here is very dangerous. Obviously, long term, this is very good because it allows people for an easy way to have access to Bitcoin without physically owning or having custody of Bitcoin, which I think will really broaden the market. But yeah, I would really caution against like any short-term price action against this piece of news specifically.
Yeah, and happy to add a bit on top of that. I mean, like as Gabby said, it was quite expected for a while. Ultimately, like we've seen like the impact of the ETF industry since Vanguard and iShares with BlackRock launched their own ETFs decades ago. I think it kind of like democratized the access to investing into the stock market for a lot of people. BlackRock and co's have quite some power when it comes to communicating and I'm pretty sure this is going to help overall crypto adoption and bring some quite material flows into the ecosystem. Clearly, they wouldn't launch an ETF if it wasn't to push it to everyone around them. So let's see what happens. I think since it launched, it's already 30 billion in total that has been accumulated in the AUMs across all the ETFs that have been issued. So yeah, it's quite impressive. Positive inflow so far. So it's good stuff. Let's see what happens in the next few months.
Yeah, Emile, thanks so much for your take on it. And I want to keep the conversation about the next few months, basically, especially with the second most important event and most discussed event besides ETF approval is the next Bitcoin halving with more capital influx due to ETF, with anticipation of halving. What you guys do expect in the couple of months for the market? And very broad question, but curious to hear your thoughts. Sherpa, why don't you go first and share probably something from community and retail investors' perspective?
Yeah, I appreciate that. I don't really have a strong view in terms of what to expect over the next few months. I mean, as the other guy said, I really agree that ETF is obviously very long-term bullish for the space, for Bitcoin, and for crypto overall. But I think that trying to predict the next several months is going to be very difficult. Number one, you don't really know what's going to happen on the macro front. I mean, of course, the Fed rates are going to probably come down eventually, and I think the worst of it is over. But nobody knows what's going to happen in that regard. Furthermore, I think that with the ETF influx of money, that could also change some of the overall halving timelines to the point where predicting the overall price action with the halving, I think is going to be pretty difficult. I think that generally speaking, you just take a long-term view that macro environment is just much better since 2022, and the ETF is just mega bullish for Bitcoin and crypto. So I think that you just in my opinion, for me personally, I'm just going to stay long I'm personally expecting like just a lot of chop for maybe the first like 1 or 2 quarters of this year. I don't know if it's just going to like keep like bull zuka eating up, similar to what we saw in anything like. I don't think we're going to see anything like 2021 or 2017 for this current cycle. I don't really think it's going to go up like that, but hopefully I'm wrong. I don't know. Like I do believe that we are going to go up, and the market will just keep going higher. But in terms of the way in which it goes up, I don't expect to see it like 2021 personally.
I believe you now a bit disappoint some our listeners who expecting something like 2017 or 2021 in the upcoming bull run. But yeah, thank you for your thoughts, and we'll definitely discuss more about the Fed rate and how it can also affect the macro environment. And Gabby, Emile, what you're looking at for the next couple of months? Or you're also thinking long term for the end of the year, as Sherpa also mentioned?
Well, I mean, personally, I'm not a trader, and I don't really have like a short-term view. So I'm positioned personally like for the long term on project that I believe into. I think it's pretty hard to kind of anticipate what's going to happen the next 3 to 4 months in crypto. Probably gonna be quite choppy. I reckon ultimately that like the next cycle is at least in my opinion going to be much bigger than what we've seen before, and I think that by now like everyone has heard about crypto, even your mom and old auntie that has never touched a computer at some point or another, that she heard about crypto in a good or a bad way. I think like tools that are accessible now are much friendlier than they were past cycles, and I think that like it's only going to go in one direction. Ultimately, the way I look at it is that like there will be different type of investors. There will be the people that directly go through ETFs because this is just the easiest way for them to invest. There will be the people that like go into centralized exchanges and buy majors and another quite large market caps. And I think a really large chunk of the people that have spent enough time on centralized exchanges and heard enough people run them or seen enough videos on YouTube or Twitter or other social medias speaking about like the 50x, the 100x that they did like on chain with earlier on opportunities like the early days Bonk or Wen or Pepe and so on before these are listed in centralized exchanges will then migrate on non-custodial wallets and this to access like these opportunities early on before they do 100, 200x and are listed on a centralized exchange. And this will drive like massive inflow of money within the entire ecosystem. I think by now, the way I look at crypto is quite pragmatic. I reckon that like crypto can solve a lot of stuff for in real life purposes, but ultimately this is an asset class where people come in like to make money, and I think that a lot of the people that I've seen either like stories of people getting rich like in the media or run them during the last cycles, they're going to get in at some point in this cycle, and that's going to be like a much bigger cycle than I think even crypto insiders can anticipate. So that's my take.
Cool, very interesting. So we have opposite opinions about how big might be the next cycles. And Gabby, what do you think about it?
Yes, on our end, we try to predict adoption cycles more than like market cycles. As someone who's like building for user adoption, this is really something more we are more in control of. I think there's been a lot of emphasis on infrastructure projects in the last, call it like 5, 6 years. But I do think there's a really good class of applications that may be financially related, but not completely. Of course, games being a prime example of that. And yeah, ultimately, I predict that there's a lot more really good product coming to market this year that will be in the hands of consumers. And yeah, that's what we're most excited about.
Great. I like that you kind of have adoption cycle point of view versus a market cycle point of view. It's good to have both perspectives. And just going a little bit further into gaming, actually, Gabby, we want to dive a little bit also into industries and how perhaps they are going to evolve in the next year. What do you think is going to drive the narrative around gaming in the upcoming months, and what type of trends do you expect to see?
Yeah, I'd say there's already been pretty good narrative around Web3 gaming infrastructure, whether it's layer ones, layer twos in the last year or so. Now you are seeing gaming blockchains get significant uh, like price adoption, for example, in the market. We are seeing some signs of user adoption as well. So, for example, Ronin blockchain by the Sky Mavis team, the makers of Axie Infinity, I think they're looking at nearing 1 million active wallets this month. And Pixels, which is the top game, is doing close to just a little bit under 200,000 active wallets daily. So we're seeing upward trend in terms of adoption. I predict that we're going to see a game hit 1 million daily active users this year. And that's on the back of better product. A lot of these teams got their start in 2021 or 2022, raised their initial rounds, built through the bear market, and now you're seeing the fruits of all of that building where there's just a really good product to show.
Yeah, fruits of labor, that's a good one. I think that's kind of paying off in a lot of projects at the moment. And I don't know if you guys wanted to add something else on the gaming part, Sherpa and Emile. Obviously, Gabby, he's the expert in it, but perhaps if you see something interesting in the space as well and want to add on to it.
Sure. I mean, like, and Gabby, I'm not an expert in GameFi, but I guess like one of the obstacle, I guess, that like we've seen like in past cycles was probably like how unfriendly from a UX point of view, like wallets are. I know that Immutable like has kind of like this wallet / widget, which makes it pretty easy for people to onboard, and I think it's like something they can directly integrate within the games. But how do you look at it, like from I mean, I guess there are different type of games, right? Like the one that like are requiring like a non-custodial wallet, and others that do not even require like a non-custodial wallet to interact with the game, and they're still like doing stuff on chain. How do you see like the wallet field like playing a role in adoption?
Yeah, thanks, Emile. Very good question. So we are seeing a lot of different approaches to the field. You're right. Immutable passport, like very easy, like sign-in experience. You just sign in, create a wallet with your email. We're seeing a lot of advances both on the wallet side and the user experience side. I think there were games maybe 2, 3 years ago that not only did you have to have MetaMask installed, you need to have bought the NFTs before you could play a game. That is largely gone now in the top titles. You can typically get started free to play, and then later on in the user experience, when you're addicted to the game, that's when you would need to have a wallet or to make a transaction. So that's kind of the norm with a lot of games starting with free to play, and then with advances in wallets, either custodial solutions, account abstraction, MPC wallets. There's a lot of ways now to kind of deal with the user experience so that it's smoother on the user side.
Sounds good. Makes sense. Let's have a discussion. I'd love to walk you through like a few things, like the new version of the wallet. We fully abstracting gas for all the chains we support, and you can just like create a wallet using like a social login, like a Gmail address or something like that, without having to deal with the seed phrase. So a lot of things we've done around account abstraction at the multi-chain level, not just like for a given set of networks that are part of the same VM. So yeah, begin to discuss and see how we can improve that for the gaming community.
And to continue on the topic of games, what do you think from probably user perspective or from investor perspective or builder? What type of games will basically drive adoption in Web3? Big AAA titles that many of them will be released this year, like for example, Gunzilla Games, Illuvium, and some other big games that we're building for like 2-3 years to be released in 2024, or adoption will go from more casual type of games, some mobile first games, and something that can be like easily installed and easily onboarded like in 2-3 minutes for any type of person. Curious to hear some thoughts about it.
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually think it's the hardest to compete when you're talking about the quote unquote AAA titles, which are like highest graphical fidelity, high budgets, competing with the biggest publishers, games that have hundreds of millions of dollars invested, because the gamers, the target market for these games don't really care about crypto. In fact, maybe quite hostile to them, and they are comparing you with like the highest budget games in the world, right? Whether it's Call of Duty, Halo, etc. So it's very hard to compete with these games. So I think if you're trying on a new platform, you'd want to uh, feature it on content that would uniquely showcase why asset ownership is better in the case of Web3, right? So in that case, like MMO titles, it doesn't need to be like super high polished, big budget. In fact, if you look at Pixels, which is a casual multiplayer pixel farming game, it's super accessible. You can play it on a mobile browser, super easy to pick up and play, but it has a complex economy. It has asset ownership, things that really kind of make it special in terms of Web3 terms. So I like that. Of course, we're still going to see some large budget titles try to compete out there. But at the moment, I'm looking at like from indie to double A, some like genre specialization, like MMOs, could be some type of RPG mechanics. Yeah, a lot of TCG as well that will do well, at least in the next year.
Really great insights. Yeah, good to hear a little bit about what you think is going to happen within the gaming industry. And Emile, you already touched upon it a little bit about what you think wallets can do for the gaming industry or how you can kind of work together. But let's kind of dig into your expertise and talk a bit more about infrastructure and perhaps DeFi projects and wallets, which is, your background, and more about their interoperability. So given the kind of DeFi years that we've had behind us and also with the upcoming years, what other milestones do you think projects in the space will need to achieve to stay relevant and also competitive in this upcoming year?
Do you have specific type of projects in mind?
No, not specific ones. I think maybe you can speak more generally, or even from your own experience.
Yeah, sure. I think that this is quite. Like we can. There are a lot of things like here. From a DeFi point of view, like my take is that there are probably a lot of like DeFi OG protocols that are going to be sidelined during this cycle, because again, I think the audience is kind of like different than it used to be, and the people that used to heavily yield farm and do whatever they had to do, like amid the DeFi summer back then, like are probably like not doing it as much as they used to be. So again, Layer is a good example. I think this is probably like the future of DeFi. I don't know if it's hard to tell who is going to be like the DeFi audience of tomorrow. I do believe that like DeFi is going to kind of like is being like democratized, and people are doing stuff that are much easier to do, like just like using Lido or whatever similar protocol like a Stride and so on. I would qualify that DeFi when it comes to like earning a yield on a given asset. Now, I think if we're speaking a bit about other type of like DeFi projects, such as interfaces that are allowing users to capture opportunities like on a given set of ecosystem. I'd say that like aggregation is still like very important. I think we've seen it like yesterday with Jupiter. They're aggregating like just a few AMM, and they're already like valued at several billions. I think it's about like providing the best experience for users that are trying to capture like early opportunities. And I'm kind of like going to repeat what I've said like at the beginning. I think that's today I'm seeing kind of like all the attention like into shit coins, meme coins. And I see a lot of people that are basically spending that day on Dex Screener or Gecko Terminal, trying to look at whatever is the latest meme coin that has been like,
This space was downloaded via spacesdown.com. Visit to download your spaces today.
Created and then trading it via entering like the contract directly in Radium or Uniswap or Camelot or Trader Joe and so on. So I would say that like trading interface, I mean, like swapping AMM and DEX interfaces need to differentiate themselves by providing like not just the best liquidity, but the earliest like opportunities in their given ecosystems. Then like on top of that, like aggregators such as 1inch, Jupiter, and there are plenty of others. We are an aggregator ourselves within XDEFI, are going to play like a big role when it comes to providing maybe prices that are not as attractive, but a wider coverage of trading opportunities. And then like on top of that, like what is going to be like the scene in terms of bridging like experience. I think ultimately right now we're seeing a lot of airdrops right front and center. We're seeing, as I said, like a lot of meme coins being issued like on a lot of different chains. If you're in the same spirit than you were in 2020 and the DeFi summer, and you're just here like to make money and capture as many opportunities as you can, which I think like a lot of people are, you're gonna need ultimately like multi-chain friendly tool that allow you to switch from an ecosystem to another in a timely manner and reliability like with the tool you're using really. So if you're trying to farm airdrops on Solana and then try to get the latest like meme coins early on like on Radium, and you see that like there are some activity on Arbitrum, you need to be able to go to Arbitrum, right? So yeah, interesting to see how the bridge space like evolves. How do we tackle like all the security issues that we've seen like in the past few years, like around bridges, and still gonna continue to happen. So let's see what happens at that level. Let's see what happens with other protocols such as Torchain, Maya, Chainflip, which are taking kind of like different approaches to bridging and to aggregation on top of that. Ultimately, if we really want to bring a lot of people on chain, we do need to reproduce like an experience that is as seamless as the experience that you have like on centralized platforms. And I think we're almost there, but it's still going to take like a little bit of time. So yeah, we need to be able to kind of like have interfaces that are focusing more on tokens and less on networks themselves. I think ultimately people don't really care about like networks. They care about like the asset itself, whether it's an NFT or a token or LST or LSD. The first interfaces that manage to abstract like this concept of chain, I think will be winning big.
Thanks, Emile, for very detailed take on the topic of interoperability and future of interfaces for crypto users. And here, I want to ask Sherpa about your opinion. What in your opinion should be changed in crypto in 2024 to make retail investor, retail trader, like crypto degen person lives easier? And what are the main obstacles right now for people to be more like cross-chain, to people to get more opportunities in crypto, to people to use crypto on their more daily operations right now?
I think a lot of the discussions that everybody already talked about is pretty key in terms of, account abstraction, wallets. I recently was helping a friend get into crypto for the first time, and just like sitting by him on his laptop and explaining like every little bit. And it's actually it's pretty intense, and the user onboarding is just very difficult. Like, even just getting somebody set up with a wallet simply on like a fast monolithic chain like Solana, for example, it can still be a pain in the ass. Like, you have to still, for a new user, like, if you want to transact on Solana, like, you have to get like some gas to begin with, and then if you want to like bridge funds over like some Tether or USDC or something, like, there's a lot of steps that you generally need to go through in order to actually work on chain. And that's not even explaining the more complex things, such as, cross-chain swaps, or, doing some borrow lend, bridging. All this other stuff is pretty complex. And I think that we crypto natives take it for granted a lot of the time, just because we've been doing this for years. We just accept A, the complexities, B, the speed, and then C, the costs too. I mean, I'm sure we've all dealt with like hundreds of dollars worth of ETH transactions in the past. It's just kind of like normal and accepted. And I think that stuff, all of it, just needs to be improved. Emile already talked a lot about some of the overall changes that we can make going forward, but I think just making things a lot smoother and easier from like pretty much all angles. UI on the back end. I mean, a lot of people just want to transact and make things as easy as possible. They don't want to have to go through 18 different steps in order to achieve the goal that they want. So I think that just simply making things easier from a UI perspective, and just having users interact with the dApp and they don't really know what's going on in the back end. If they want to swap X coin for Y coin on a different chain, they don't really know what's happening on the back end. They just click swap, and then that's that. I think that just making things easier, as I said, as a whole, is going to be really helpful for the onboarding process. And in terms of the new trends, I mean, I don't really know. Like, it's always so hard to predict what the actual new trend is. And I saw that, I think we'll probably talk about this later as well, but like, in terms of trends for DeFi, I mean, all the cross-chain stuff is pretty interesting. I think we'll start to see more real-world assets, RWAs, being traded hopefully in the coming years, which will obviously have some sort of interaction with DeFi. And then also, there's just going to be new stuff that it's probably not quite ready yet now, but we'll start to see some bits of it here and there as time goes on. So yeah, those are just some of my opinions.
Great, thank you so much. And then we smoothly moving to the topic of trends and specific projects and specific directions in crypto that might surge in the 2024 and upcoming months. We specifically at Morningstar Ventures are more looking into AI, intersection of AI and Web3, into new DeFi applications and new DeFi primitives, as well as some progressive infrastructure solutions. You, Sherpa, mentioned all things related to cross-chain swaps and also DeFi in general. Emile already mentioned Eigenlayer, but would love to learn more on what you think can really surge in the next months in terms of trends and directions, and even probably some specific projects. Gabby, curious to hear your thoughts.
Trends, of course, been watching parallel EVM space along with a lot of other people. So yeah, I've been checking out newer chains like say, um, and it's interesting to see how much like a much faster chain can open up different on-chain experiences. So yeah, that's one thing I've been checking out. And at YDG, one thing we are introducing is the concept of on-chain groups or on-chain guilds. So just ability for people to create their own guilds on-chain and be able to go on quests is something that I'm really looking forward to.
Cool, very interesting, especially about new blockchains and how they create extremely new user experience for people who tired of expensive and slow transactions on Ethereum. Emile, Sherpa, do you have anything to add from your side?
Yeah, I think so. Last time I just really talked about the DeFi stuff just because that was the topic on hand. I think that in 2024 we're going to see, like, every cycle and every new year presents new different trends and new different narratives. Like earlier in the year in 2023, we're seeing more like social fi stuff with friend tech. Right now we're starting to see more adoption of real world assets. I think that restaking stuff like Eigenlayer was probably going to be pretty interesting because, generally speaking, a lot of people in crypto are pretty degenerate and like to speculate. And I think that there's nothing better than seeing like the weird Ponzi-nomics that people are going to create on chains such as that. I think that those types of things, and also I want to piggyback on Gabby talking about paralyzed EVMs, such as Monad. Those types of projects are also going to have a lot of different interesting, unique selling points from a trend perspective. And like we've already kind of see that as well in this, like the start of this mini cycle, in October or whatever. You could already see which projects were getting bid up. Stuff like Celestia and Say, those were both ones that did very well over the last few months. And that was just because those are different narratives. And like in 2021, we saw like a lot of the value capture go towards just other alternative layer ones such as AVAX, Solana, and Luna. And we've seen that this cycle so far, it's like been pretty similar in that regard. So yeah, I think that overall 2024 is going to be really good. And although I said before, I also want to clarify as well from what I said before. Like, I want to make clear that I believe that 2024 we're going to go, or 25. I don't know when it's going to happen, but we're going to go to break all-time highs. We're going to go very hard. I just don't think the way in which we get there is going to be the same as 2021. So like in 2021 and 2017, we were hitting like 20% candles every week and just like mooning up. I mean, those were the result of like lots of COVID money coming in and everybody staying at home and gambling. Like, I don't think we're going to see quite like that. I think we more just see like a slow grind up all the way to 100K or whatever. I don't know what the price is going to be. But I mean, the bottom line is that I'm extremely bullish over the next 1 or 2 years. After that, I don't know when, the cycle ends, but I think that the market will just continue to create different narratives, and it's going to be pretty interesting to see what the market likes overall.
Awesome. Thank you for the great breakdown. And of course, every cycle creates its own new trends, its own new trendy blockchains and narratives. And that's why many people basically love crypto, because almost every month you can have a completely new direction where you can participate, engage on chain, trade, speculate, invest, and earn money, lose money. That's the beauty of crypto for crypto native people. Emile, from your side, do you have something to on take of trends and narratives and specific projects for 2024?
No, I think we like the most of it has been mentioned before. I think layer one is still going to be a narrative. Rollups still going to be a narrative. Cosmos, in my opinion, will come into play as well. Depin is a big narrative with Helium and Honey and all these different projects that are building RWAs with real world assets. Interesting to see financial institutions actually tokenizing bonds and other financial instruments. So I think a lot of things are coming. I've met with some financial dudes a few weeks back, and there were. I was trying to understand why they are actually excited about tokenizing T-bills or other financial instruments, and I was quite surprised. I'm always trying to understand these kind of things to see how it plays out, but like it was actually quite simple. The only thing they were interested about is that like it can trade 24/7. And I was like, I was kind of thinking about plenty of other reason why it would be interesting for them, like because it's actually more cost efficient and so on. But the main thing why these guys were actually interested about was that. So yeah, bullish on real world assets and so on, and infrastructure in general. Let's see what happens. It's always hard to tell exactly what's gonna turn out as a big narrative and what won't. But yeah, let's see what happens.
Yeah, let's definitely see what happens. I think that's a good way to kind of conclude this conversation. And we're almost ready for our audience Q&A. So if you have any questions, feel free to request to speak or put your questions in the comments section below. While you guys are thinking about your questions, we kind of wanted to dive into our last topic, which is to give you a bit of an opportunity to let our audience know about any alphas or any new things that are coming up. I know, Sherpa, for you, you're not necessarily on a project, so maybe what you can do is give our audience a little bit of an advice from a retail trader as to how to get into crypto, because I know you talked about your friend and what like the best first step is. But yeah, Gabby, do you want to maybe give us an alpha? I know you already talked a little bit about your on-chain guilds.
Yep, we do have on-chain guilds coming. So we've been doing quests over at YGG, and right now we have a live quest actually that teaches people how to get better at Axie Origins. We have some integrations with other top games coming very soon, and yeah, we'll be giving players the ability to form guilds on-chain, manage their membership, manage their wallet, like their guild treasury, and then join quests for games as a group or as your own guild. So yeah, that's a majority of what we are looking forward to for YGG this year.
Great. Then, and we can stay tuned on your Twitter channel, I'm guessing. Yes. 100. Perfect. So stay tuned on their Twitter channel. Emile, what's going on for you guys? Any alphas you can disclose?
Yeah, we've been working for the past 8 to 9 months on rebranding and revamping completely our products. And I think what you've mentioned, Altcoin Sherpa, is quite interesting because I've been in situations so many times in the past 6 months trying to sit down with people like around me and onboard them into crypto and not just doing this via XDEFI wallet, right? Like I just wanted to have the experience from the point of view of the new user, like using different tools and try to understand which one are working better than others. And ultimately, and I'm talking about non-custodial wallets, not onboarding via a centralized exchange. And based on all the interviews we've done, like we build a product that we think is addressing most of the pain points, which is for me the first thing is like to understand like what is the seed phrase. It's complicated, and having to note it down is quite scary. So we're abstracting that gas. Once you are like on the wallet and you funded it, it's pretty complicated to understand the concept of gas. So we're also abstracting it, and we're also making it super easy to on-ramp, or for you to either migrate from a centralized exchange, like basically migrating all of the funds you have on a given centralized exchange with the new API we've implemented in one click, or like funding with Apple Pay or SEPA or credit card or debit card. So we try to address all of these points, and obviously the mobile app is going to be pretty important because let's be honest, like if at Christmas I offered NFTs to people in my family and they all were looking for XDEFI wallets on the Apple Store, they don't even know what an extension is itself. So like explaining them what a non-custodial wallet extension is pretty complicated. So we're also working on the mobile app, and yeah, we're currently like finishing to work on this product. It's still going to take like a few months, and then we'll release them. So that's a really big launch for us. Probably like the second biggest event happening for us in the last 4 years. So I'm really looking forward to it, and I hope you guys will be able to give us early feedback so we can improve as you go.
Yeah, really looking forward to the mobile app as well, actually. I think that's also something that's going to help in the democratization of crypto. Like you said at the beginning, everyone and their aunt knows about crypto. So making sure that they also understand how to onboard to it is great. And I also really like that you give NFTs for Christmas gifts. I think I'm going to start doing that too. That's a great one. But finally, last but not least, Sherpa, kind of building off of what Emile was saying in terms of advice. Do you have any pieces of advice for our audience or for anyone out there in terms of how to get started or how to kind of deal with the process of coming onto crypto?
Yeah, I think it's pretty common for everybody just to buy some crypto on a centralized exchange. It could be Ethereum, Bitcoin, Solana, whatever. And it's just like, how far down the rabbit hole do you want to go? Like, the farther down you get and the more invested you get into the space, I think that you'll find that you will be more interested and probably a lot richer too, if if that's what your goal is. I would say that really, for most retail investors who are interested in crypto, it's best to do a little bit of research and maybe find like anywhere up to 5 different coins or sectors that you really like. It could be anything. It could be like, DeFi, it could be AI, real world assets, it could be metaverse, gaming. It could be like a layer one. It could be whatever. I would say do a lot of research within each of those sectors and then just choose a winner that you think based off your own research. Generally speaking, just blindly following other people, call it influencers or just people on YouTube. No offense to anybody out there too. Like, I'm out there presenting my market thoughts as well, but just don't like blindly listen to anybody. Just like make sure that you read and have like formulate your own opinion. And really the only way to get that is just by reading and doing a lot of research and trying to understand like why something is the way it is. So yeah, I would say that the most important thing is just to not be totally sidelined during this time. I would just I have some friends that are, bear market PTSD, and these are like experienced guys too. Some people that have been in the market for years, and 2022 just hurt everybody so badly, and a lot of 2023 as well, where, or really, I would just say that getting exposure into the market is going to be good. It doesn't matter how you do it. Don't just like throw like 100% of your bankroll in, just dollar cost average, scale in. And the most important thing is just to, in my opinion, have some exposure going into 2024 and choose some concentrated winners that you believe will do pretty well.
Yeah, excellent advice. And I actually think you also touched a little bit upon one of our questions from the audience, where they asked about advice for the bull run and what advice you would actually give for someone who experiences their very first bull run. So I guess that would be someone who is already has a bit of knowledge in crypto and is about to maybe go out with an exit plan. But great advice. Do your research, keep on reading, go down that rabbit hole. I think that's the main thing to focus on. Speaking of audience questions, we actually did have one more question from the audience, which was about AI. We always get questions on AI, but it is a big topic. How do you actually think that AI tools are going to affect the market in the future? Do you guys have any opinions on that? Gabby?
Or you're probably integrating some AI solutions in XDEFI or YGG?
Yeah, we're already seeing AI impact Web3 gaming in a number of fronts. Of course, first one will be from an asset creation standpoint, that Gen AI is speeding up creation of a lot of assets. Second, you're seeing more innovative things, like, for example, if you look at Parallel, so they have a TCG game, but their second game that they're coming up with is called Colony, and it uses AI agents in a kind of simulated world, so that you're not directly controlling characters, but you're controlling AI agents with their own wallets and their own personality. So that is super interesting. We're seeing a lot of different games that have AI integration. AI Arena is one of them. So yeah, lots of innovation happening on that front in gaming.
Yeah, that's really great to hear. And what about for you, Emile? Any AI integrations or thoughts on how AI is going to move the market?
Yeah, we thought about it. We thought about like a smart search within the wallet that will be powered by AI. It's not going to happen just now. We're focusing on other things first. Obviously, AI plus crypto is a narrative that has been pushed. Let's see what happens at that level. I don't really have an opinion on it.
Yeah, there's still a lot of room to grow in that space. I think also from our perspective, like what Peter said earlier, we are looking a lot in the AI space. We have a couple of portfolio companies as well that are in AI. And yeah, it will be an interesting narrative to follow along with what Sherpa was saying about SocialFi. So thanks for your question, by the way. If you have any more questions, please feel free to either request to speak or to put them in the comments section below. But other than that, I think we are pretty much done with our roundtable today, unless anyone has something else to add or wants to ask one more question. And yeah, that's it from us. Peter, do you want to add anything else?
Actually, probably one last thing about AI. Probably Sherpa can also express his opinion on how can it move the market, or probably how it's already moving the market in his point of view.
Yeah, I think that AI is definitely a really strong narrative. I mean, decentralized AI is definitely going to be something. I don't know when, if it's this cycle or next cycle or something like that, but I think that the overall narrative is there. At first, I had an opinion that the hardware wasn't strong enough, but I'm realizing that I was just ignorant and didn't read enough. I think that it's definitely going to play a role. I don't know how it's going to play a role, specifically. There's obviously thousands of different applications that you can use, but I definitely think that AI is a strong narrative for this cycle. I don't know what the biggest leader will be, but you're definitely seeing some stuff in the public markets for coins that the public definitely likes, like Fetch AI, Tau, BitTensor. Those are some coins that people really like. Or Render as another one. I don't have any of those, to be clear, but yeah, I think that you will definitely see AI as a narrative this cycle. At least the beginnings of it, and whether or not it's going to stick around, I don't know. But yeah, I do believe that decentralized AI is going to be there.
Thanks, Sherpa. And Peter, did you want to chime in and say one more thing? See you
No, my only thought is hopefully decentralized AI will not replace us in these roundtables.
Yeah, let's hope. That's a good one. We have to ask very, very innovative questions that they're not going to come up with to keep our jobs, Peter. But guys, thanks so much for your participation in our very first roundtable this year. I think we had a great conversation about what the market is going to look like, how the different narratives are going to play a role. We've had perspectives from a retail investor, from a wallet perspective and from a gaming perspective. So very well-rounded, super excited and bullish as well for the year to come. We're working on a couple of fun things as well, so do make sure to keep your eyes out on Morningstar Ventures Twitter. We also are hosting Twitter Spaces every 2 weeks. We have interviews that my colleague Sabi does one-on-one with interesting founders from our portfolio companies, and then we also have roundtables just like these about ongoing topics in the crypto space. Stay tuned for the next topic. It's going to be about something actually that we talked about today, but I can't give away too much. And yeah, that's it. Have a lovely evening. See you next time.